Greetings, warriors from the V. Welcome to another exciting episode, the 8th episode of In the Zone. We have Datuk Sri Vijay, our founder, with us, and he'll be sharing some excellent information with us today. Datuk Sri Vijay, thank you for taking time off from your busy schedule. As a founder of the group, Datuk Sri, I know you are so busy, but we wanted to actually have a discussion with you, Datuk Sri, because there's this persistent question that our IRs are bombarded with on professional marketing, ethical marketing, behavior. And I wanted to ask your view on that. Can you still be successful and yet do it in a professional way? Because they always say that if you're going to be aggressive and meet your goals, you have to take shortcuts in this business. But then that comes across as unethical. So what can you say about that, Datuk Sri?
Well, we have said this many times before. I think in the early part of our growth as a company, we had a tagline that we used everywhere. Patman will say it on Week on Stage very often. Simply that slow is fast.
Slow is fast.
All right, and which also means the reverse is true. Fast is slow. So slow is fast essentially means that when we build slowly and we are building for the long term, it is inevitably going to be slow. Are you with me? And there is no shortcut to this process. This shortcut that we are talking about, whenever we shortcut, we end up short-circuiting. So there are people out there who unfortunately don't know any other way. They only focus, and we can't really fault them for it because it is partially an upline problem as well. People don't listen to what you say, they do what you do. So if we talk about ethical marketing, we have to start from the very top. You have to be it. And then somewhere along the way, when we are trying to do things for the sake of convenience, for the sake of speed, we start, cutting corners and, giving up some of the principles. And these principles cost. There's no question that principles cost. Even in this business, there are many times that we made many decisions that cost us. We chose not to go into certain countries. We chose not to tie up with certain people. We chose to walk away from certain very attractive, propositions because of the people involved, because of the morals involved, because of some ethical consideration. And we said that we will bear the cost.
So you had to say no.
We had to say no a lot. As a matter of fact, this whole company began because of an ethical consideration. We had a situation whereby that we had to lose money to begin with. So we went and got a loan. As founders, we got a loan and we signed guarantee for that loan to pay back to our downlines who were basically cheated by people not connected with us. That's how we began. So if there is something that can be said about that, that is that our ethics are more important than anything else. So, however, when we become 100,000 strong, 500,000 strong, 1 million strong, somewhere down the line, we start to lose that effectivity in terms of conveying the message. But let me make this abundantly clear. Ethics may cost, and morals, may cost. Are you with me? But the cost is well worth paying. There's no question in my mind that it is well worth paying.
Datuk Sri, when I'm in front of the prospect, or when someone is in front of a prospect trying to convince him to join this business, you can't paint him this difficult, depressed picture. So obviously you have to promise him some nice numbers, some exciting things to convince him to join the business. But where is the line? Where do you draw the line to what you can say?
Well, it starts from the very beginning. There's no question that selling is a very important aspect of the business, and therefore we will always paint the picture. But you see, at some point he signs. At some point there is a point of no return. You see, we used to say that this is the bomb and this is the BDM. All right? So the bomb is always very positive, very switched on, this, that, and the other, you know.
The bomb is?
Bomb is the business opportunity.
Meeting.
Yeah, the business opportunity meeting. I mean, this is old terminology. He calls it, Patman calls it presentation. The presentation is always going to be, you know, the tip of the iceberg above the water. But then the rest of the iceberg has to follow at some point. So what we did before was what we called BDMs at the time. These were essentially training sessions. And in these BDMs, in these training sessions, the rest of the iceberg was presented. You see, it's very simple. I mean, at the end of the day, i.e. if you're going to go and do karate, all right, or taekwondo, or whatever martial art you're going to do, when you go for the promotion, we go for the advertisement, the guy is smashing planks. You know, he's using the tip of his finger to climb upside down and do incredible gymnastic feats, right? Looking like, you know, a cross between Jackie Chan and Bruce Lee. But when you start training, and Japa can do this better than most, when you start training, it's hard work. When you start training, you know, if you watch the Karate Kid, right? You got to drop the jacket, pick it up, put it on. Drop the jacket, pick it up, put it on. Drop the jacket, pick it up, put it on. This is also necessary. And there's no question in my mind that a lot of this is not being done. You see, so slow is fast. It is an inevitable, okay, law of long-term success.
So your job is not done when you just sign him up.
In fact, your
When
job,
you sign up is the end goal.
your job just begins. The job just begins when you sign him up. So many times I have shown this example. If this is the point the person becomes aware of the business, and this is the point here that he becomes truly successful, the point of signing him up can be here immediately after meeting him. But to take him to here, that whole journey has to begin, has to start. You have to carry him all the way here.
Sounds like a lot of hard work.
A lot of hard work. So if you actually sign somebody up by already having carried him this far and then sign him up here, then he has a short distance to travel. So there sometimes it's worthwhile saying no to a sign up.
No to a sign up.
Totally. It's one of the things that I've said even in VCon. I'm going back to Japa, when Japa basically said no to someone who came with a check, ready, signed up, he's filled up his form, and Japa said no. It made the guy crazy. Because Japa says, I'm only interested in signing up leaders. Why would I be interested in signing up riffraff? Now, why is this so important? Because when you sign up a leader, he's already aware of the journey that he has to make, or he has already made that journey. So for him to go this distance is so much more possible. But when you sign up somebody who's totally green, you're going to have to carry him. And that means that you have to invest a lot of time and effort into ethical training programs. You have to have continuous training that goes on for someone. In fact, before you allow someone to go out and recruit per se, you got to make them go through a certain phase of training. So you say, when you attend 6 hours of my program, then you can go out and sign, as opposed to just sign. Now, why is all this so important? Because are you just building for now, or are you going to be building for 20 years from now? If you talk about the passive income that you talk about, passive incomes only work when the foundation is laid well.
This is a long-term business.
It is a long-term business. The higher the building, the greater your dream. The higher your dream, the lower you got to go down to build the foundation. If you look at a skyscraper that's being built, all right, the higher the skyscraper, the deeper the foundation. They actually go down so deep that it looks like as if they have gone down almost as deep as the building itself. So you're not actually going to see, when you complete the process of putting in a foundation, the building comes up at a super fast speed. This takes time. This above ground is so much faster. Ethical marketing is not about, doing something special. It's not about doing something extra. It is about doing the fundamental thing. It is the most important thing. If you cannot build ethically, there's absolutely no way it will stand, the test of time. So we began this company on ethics. We are a strange company. We are vegetarian. We follow certain principles. You walk up to the front lobby of the building here in Malaysia, and you see on one hand Vivekananda, and you see on the other hand Gandhi. How can we not be ethical? It's ridiculous that we're not ethical.
Dato', business and profits are also important, Dato'. Why do you emphasize so much on this?
To me, and I addressed this, when I had occasion to speak at the European Parliament, I was invited to speak on the topic of spirituality in business. Is there a conflict? And my answer was no. In fact, it is mutually acceptable. Spirituality and business work perfectly together. And to understand that is to understand...
We're not talking about a cult here, right?
No.
We're talking because some people might think that...
Spirituality means it has nothing to do with religion. Being spiritual means that accepting God in any form. Hindu, Muslim, Christian, all of these are, just tags for religion. God is God. But make your workplace a place of worship. And that is very important. Then everything you do will be ethical. You will not think of doing anything unethical. Are you with me? So, for me, work is worship. So, and that's what I addressed at the European Parliament. Profit is not sinful. Profit is logical. But what it is it has to be based on ethical marketing. It has to be based on an ethical business. And that is critically important. So what we are doing here actually is teaching people a very important, I would say crucial aspect of survival in the next decade or two to come, which is entrepreneurship. We are teaching people to be entrepreneurs.
So how are we entrepreneurs, Dato'? So how are the IRs entrepreneurs? They don't invest big amounts of money. Are entrepreneurs not people who build big businesses and have buildings?
Well, let me put it to you this way. Clearly, in that case, if we followed that particular definition, both Jack Ma, Richard Branson, and even myself, we would have never been entrepreneurs. Jack Ma started as a teacher, teaching English, and Richard Branson began life by basically starting a, record store. We began this business by taking, a loan to pay back for something we had not even, committed to ourselves. So there were no godfathers to help us out. There was no huge investments put into place. It was built on belief, like so many others out there. Has Jack Ma been broke? Richard Branson been broke? Has Steve Jobs been broke? Has Bill Gates been broke when they started?
Dato', do you see a day when an IR can be as successful as some of these individuals in our business?
We already have IRs who are doing this. We have had IRs who have done this from the very beginning. We have IRs who have broken new records. Records that I thought would not be breakable are still being broken every day. And I don't see why not. I mean, this is the business of the future. The issue is, are we building it for the short term? Are we building it with shortcuts? In which case it will fall upon itself. It needs to be built upon strong ethical foundations. Build your people. Don't focus on building the business. Build your people. If you actually follow that logic, you're building your people, you will build them with principles. you will build them ethically. You will build them to take over from you one day. And you cannot do that at the same time and be unethical about it. There is only one way forward, and that is to be purely ethical. So this concept of ethical marketing is not superfluous, it's not extra, it's not unnecessary. It's a foundation stone. You have to be ethical. You have to be ethical in every sense of the word. It's common sense, actually. You have to apply ethics from every single stage that you begin. There is no other way to do this. So, is it going to mean that you're going to spend a lot more time? What is it actually, what's the price that you pay for ethics? The price that you pay for ethics is time, nothing else. You see, you are going to have to sit down that much longer, explain that much longer, work on the person that much longer. There is nothing else involved. It is time and effort. And if you're willing to actually, invest that time and effort into those individuals, then they too will do the same.
Thank you, Dr. Sri. I think that message was very timely, and I think it's very important. Thank you.